Hey everyone. So yeah, welcome to the 147th edition of the Animated Girls Profile Confidential. Yeah, it's kind of hard to believe I haven't done one on this character. I thought I did. And I'm talking about Roxanne. That's right, Roxanne from a Goofy movie. She's also made appearances in House of Mouse in the episode Max's Big Date. She's made a cameo and picture, if you will, in the new DuckTales reboot. In the Quack Pack episode, which was basically more of an episode where Donald had just wished for a normal life and stuff like that, kind of sitcom wise. And she's also made appearances in the Disney Adventures magazine, the mini magazine that they would sell with the Disney Adventure comics. And that was post Goofy movie, but it was under the Goof Troop name. And she's also made a resurgence, of course, thanks to this year being the 30th anniversary of a Goofy movie. And and what I mean by resurfacing, I should say, what I mean is basically she is essentially seen more merchandise-wise um, than before. She's seen more with more on T-shirts, I should say, and mugs and Funkos and stuff like that. So yeah, she has definitely not been forgotten, as some people have done videos on. In fact, one person that did a video on, them finding Roxanne because, they're wondering, where is Roxanne? Where is she? Did Disney forget about her? And no, Disney did not forget about her, obviously, because one of the things they noticed at I think, what is it, I can't think of the ride right now, but it's the same kind of ride in Disney World and everything. Same kind of ride in Disney World. Oh, it's the Mickey and Minnie's Railroad ride. And they stated that when you go to the Disneyland version of that ride, there's a bunch of mock-up posters over there, and one of them is on High School Musical 3, which was basically the finale for the whole High School Musical series. Also, we thought, because there's obviously plans to do a fourth one now, don't know why. Excuse me. Don't know why and all that, but there is plans to do a fourth one. But what they did with this mock-up poster, and they had several of them. They had like one on the Mighty Ducks, and so on and so forth. But the one that stood out to this individual was a parody poster on High School Musical 3 called High School Goofical or something like that. High School Goofical, whatever. I guess it's the name. High School Goofical 3 or something like that. And it showed all the characters from a Goofy movie, all the teenage characters, Max, Stacy, Bobby, PJ, and Roxanne, all in the graduation gowns and all that, at least the High School Musical graduation gowns. And so by upon seeing this, it basically made this individual, this YouTuber, happy, along with, I'm sure, a lot of people that have gone and on that ride at Disneyland. Upon seeing that poster, they're like, oh, cool, they didn't forget about this character or that character, so it's good to see. Um, but yeah, but here's the thing with the Roxanne's character. Here's the thing with Roxanne's character, if you will. She, the relationship between her and Max, I think any kid could kind of understand at that age. Mainly because when the movie came out, I was just finishing up my freshman year in high school, and Roxanne was kind of like some of those girls that I had a crush on, not just in my class, but in other classes above me. There was girls that I had I had a crush on, I should say, from the class of '96, the class of '97, of course, class of '98, if you will. And there were some girls I had crush on in class of '95, and even in the class that graduated after my class, '99. So there was a lot of girls I could you know I could I could relate to Max with when it comes to having a crush on, and getting to dance with and getting to know and getting to be good friends with and stuff like that. Um, and Roxanne's one of those characters, that falls in that category for Max. So being a guy, being a boy at that time, it's very, I can relate with Max, and I'm sure a lot of us, around that age, getting out of their freshman year into the sophomore year, could relate with him as well. But yeah, Roxanne, I thought was even though her role wasn't, as big as, of course, Max and Goofy's, her role in the movie I thought was great. Her being that love interest, her essentially being, I think, in a way, the shy, quirky, kind of adorable girl that you know you can just get along with. You don't have to worry about whether or not you know she's gonna judge you for what you look like or for how you laugh and all that. She's just gonna like you for you. You know, and I appreciate Disney doing that, and and getting Kelly Martin, who's a great actress, great voice actress, to come in and do her voice was a home run in my opinion. And then later on, getting uh, getting a Greg Delisle, Greg Delisle, to come in and do her voice as well in the House of Mouse episode, I thought was great. And the one thing they didn't point out, this Greg Delisle did, voice-wise, is she was also primarily known as one of the main voices, if not still the main voice, on a consistent basis of Daphne from Scooby-Doo. Yeah, Greg Delisle was actually the voice, even currently, I think, of Daphne in Scooby-Doo. All depends on, like I said, the interpretation. But I liked, like I said, I liked that, the the adorableness that both brought to her character and everything, because both basically understood her character. They could relate with that character, and that's what you want to bring into bring into the forefront, if you will, when you're creating a character like this. To be like a love interest for one of the main leads in your film or your series. So I enjoyed that. I really did. I really enjoyed that. Again, any kid growing up in high school that would go and see this, they can see themselves through Max. They can see themselves through Roxanne and kind of understand where they're coming from. Kind of understand. Oh, I know how she is. I know how she is. I'm kind of like that. Or I know how he is. I'm kind of like that. So, to me, Roxanne definitely played that role perfectly. That, and honestly, excuse me, honestly, I think Disney really, at least Disney Television with House of Mouse, they really missed out on an opportunity to bring her in full time as a character, because Max's big date, to me, um, that pretty much, that pretty much to me solidified. It kind of solidified that Roxanne could fit right in as a waitress at the House of Mouse and play a significant role if they wanted her to, but they didn't do that. And what's interesting about Roxanne too, and this relates to her voice actress, her OG voice actress, that this one person pointed out, and everybody else points this out when they talk about Roxanne or Goofy movie and the legacy and impact and all that it's had. Kelly Martin came back to voice another character, um, that was a love interest for Max in the um, Goofy Max Christmas short, in Twice Upon a Christmas. And Max was coming home from college. He's bringing this new girlfriend. He's been dating or going out with in college, called Mona. But what was interesting about Mona, though, and this is what a lot of people put on the conspiracy hats, the speculations, the theory hats. Mona is voiced by Kelly Martin, the same voice actress that did Roxanne. And there's always been stories out and about that Mona was actually supposed to be Roxanne. Yeah, Mona was supposed to actually be Roxanne, but the legend, if you will, the rumor, the legend, the theorizing, the conspiracy theorizing is the reason um, that was all changed was because um, basically Roxanne's hair would have been too would have been too complicated to animate in CGI, because you got to remember this is back in the early to mid 2000s when they brought out Twice Upon a Christmas, and it was an old CGI follow up on Once Upon a Christmas. Um, and I guess transitioning from 2D to 3D CGI, the from again, this is just a theory, this is just speculation, conspiracy, legend, whatever you want to call it, that because Roxanne has her hair, it would have been too complicated for them to animate. Thus, they just said, let's just swap her out with somebody else that's going to be voiced by Kelly Martin and go from there. Now, I'm not sure if Kelly Martin could herself confirm this or not. Whether or not there's some truth to it, because I believe if she was to come out, if Kelly Martin, if you were to ask her, about the situation, and she was to come out and say, yes, there is truth, then obviously that would definitely show that Disney, even back then, didn't want to put out the extra money, just a teeny, even by a teeny bit, put out that extra money to essentially animate Roxanne's hair. You know, they didn't want to put out that extra moolah, if you will, just to, add a little bit more texture or something like that. Now, some people, including the one person that did the recent video, have said that all they had to do was just give her a short haircut. I mean, Mona, who is voiced by Kelly Martin, has a short haircut, so they could have said, just color it Roxanne's orangey brown color, and there you go. There you go. There's Roxanne. She just decided to get a short haircut and everything, make it easier on them. And I agree that could have probably been the best solution, but they didn't want to do that. They just instead decided, let's just give him a new character, be done with it. Now there is a character in Extremely Goofy movie that when Goofy, not Goofy, but when Max and Bobby and PJ are skating board or skateboarding and everything on the campus, like the first full day there, there's this girl next to this other girl, that are, they're impressed by what they're seeing, and I think the one girl who says she can't she can't take her eyes off it. A lot of people have said that that girl, and it probably is this, and we see this girl later on. We see this girl later on in a shop, kind of a clothing store and everything. Um, and a lot of people have had conspiracies and speculations that that could be Roxanne, even though it's not straight out said that it's Roxanne. It could be her. People have had that conspiracy that it's her. It's just not. They're just not saying it. They're just not mentioning it. They're not having her, recognize. Oh, it's Max. He's here with me now, and all that. It's just one of those conspiracies and speculations and theories that could be her, just not being acknowledged by name or anything like that. But we don't know. We don't know. I mean, if you were to compare the two speculations as conspiracies, if you will, people would lean more towards Mona, originally being Roxanne, in Twice Upon a Christmas, than this character in Extremely Goofy movie that kind of looked like her in style, but in design style, if you will, but older. So yeah, again, if you were to ask them who do you think was more likely to be Roxanne, they would probably point towards Mona, because even this one person on YouTube, this one content creator, he said that Disney has been basically avoiding Mona like the plague. Like in a way, I think what they're alluding to is Disney is realizing that they screwed up, if you will, that they know Mona was supposed to be Roxanne, and that's why they're ignoring her and all that. From here on in, you don't see her on the cover of any regional release, on Blu-ray or DVD or whatever. You know, it's like they said basically the only other exception is an adaptation of Twice Upon a Christmas and the stories in the movie that were adapted into comic book form, and that's it. That's it. Um, but outside of that, you know, outside of that and everything, when you look back at Roxanne, I think this is a character that definitely deserves more love, more attention, and you know, I think once given that opportunity, once Disney realizes what they have and everything, because here's the thing, they've been going all out this year to celebrate a Goofy movie, and most of the celebrations that they've been putting out, she's been in there. She's been a part of them. So if I'm if I'm Disney, and I'm bringing back people like Roger Clements, if you will, and everything, then and I'm rumored to want to go back to 2D animation, because obviously that's more beloved than CGI. If I'm Disney and I look at the fact that people still like a Goofy movie, they still like the impact that it has even to this day, I would build upon that. I would build upon it and do more with the characters. I would do, honestly, I would do a third Goofy movie, set in the set, years in the future, and you have Roxanne and Max get married. I think that'd be a great, closure to the Goofy movie and Goof Troop series, in my opinion. That's just me. That's just me. But yeah, Roxanne, I thought honestly was a very adorable character, very cute character. Like I said, Kelly Martin and Greg DeLise individually both did a great job, in my opinion. And like I said, a lot of people, and I do tend to agree with this, feel that Mona in Trace Upon a Christmas was originally supposed to be Roxanne. The but the only reason that was changed is because according to the legend, the excuse, whatever you want to call it, the theory, the conspiracy, is they didn't want to animate Roxanne's hair in CGI. It would have been too complicated. And whether you believe that or not, that's up to you. But yeah, she's had such a she has a great legacy, or she's had a great legacy, continues to have a great legacy. I mean, heck, she's on the cover of all the posters and VHS, Blu-rays, and DVDs, mostly of a Goofy movie, and I like that. Or at least she's on the cover in some capacity, either the back or the front. She's on the cover, so I like that. I really do. Um, but yeah, overall, I can't say any more about Roxanne than what I already have. I mean, she's also appeared, like I said, in Disney Adventure magazines a couple of times under the Goof Troop name, not something that says Goofy movie series or Goofy movie, the series or whatever. It's Goof Troop, and I like the idea. I like the fact that those that worked on Disney Adventure acknowledge that Goofy movie is actually Goof Troop the movie, which falls in to that conspiracy that a lot of people have always had, that had Treasure of the Lost Lamp of DuckTales the movie, Treasure of the Lost Lamp, not bombed the way it was, or the way it did, then we would have had more Disney Afternoon related films or Disney Afternoon tie-in films theatrically. We would have had more DuckTales films. We would have had Rescue Rangers, Gummy Bears, maybe Tailspin, and Goof Troop, which again, lends to that conspiracy, that theory that Goofy movie was supposed to be Goof Troop. That's essentially what it is. I mean, even Doug Walker during his Disney December take on it before he did a full review on it as Nostalgia Critic, even Doug Walker said that when you look at it, you wouldn't imagine this kind of animation for something that's basically Goof Troop the movie. So so you can't. So even Doug Walker sees, that sees what it originally is, and not being actually said out loud or promoted out loud as. But again, outside of that, I think the addition of Roxanne in the movie and into the Goof Troop series has been great. And again, obviously, her legacy still lives on, and through all kinds of different promotional work and celebrations for the 30th anniversary of Goofy movie, and as well as outside of it, like with the parody posters like on High School Musical and stuff like that. So yeah, overall, great character. Again, Credit to Kelly Martin and Greg DeLeese for doing the individual voices on her. I thought they did great. There's a lot of potential with this character that could still be built upon, and hopefully they do build upon it. But let me know what your thoughts are. What do you think about Roxanne as a character? How did you like her? Did you kind of have a crush on her, kind of being like a furry waifu crush, if you will? Let me know. Love to hear your thoughts overall, guys. And until next time, do me a favor, like the video, ring the bell for notifications, subscribe to the channel, click on the links in the description to help me out elsewhere outside of YouTube. It'd be greatly appreciated. Until next time, guys, that's all I'm going to say for this 147th edition of the Anime Girls Profile Confidential. And until then, I am out.